stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. It is a snowy morning in Detroit. Welcome to everybody around the world. Coach, how you doing, man?
Man, yeah, we are already weeks away from early reporting, which is nuts. So had to throw up the different green screen backgrounds, some warmer times down south at Joker Marchant.
Yes, we are 40 days away from the first game of spring training, but yeah, only weeks away from the pitchers and catchers reporting. Yeah, we've hit another milestone. We are now at the arbitration week. And pretty much everybody's settled on their deal except for the guy pictured in the graphic. Scott Harris and Tarek Skubal are going to arbitration over some big money here, actually, not some small change, not $20,000 like Casey Mize. We're talking big bucks. And so, Coach, let us know what everybody's making and what Skubal is asking for.
Well, boy, heading into the offseason, 2.5, 3 months ago, we were thinking, all right, well, there's some options that Detroit legitimately has. And now fast forward to today, and with the news of how far apart the organization and the camp of Boris and Skubal are for this arbitration is astounding. So in short, Detroit offered $19 million, which I guess is technically $800,000 under the most offered all time in the arbitration era, if you want to call it that. And Skubal and Boris came back with $32 million, which is a sizable difference in arbitration hearing. Even a couple million would have been a decent gap. But this has gotten national news very fast. And the optic of it on the outside is that there's no shot Detroit has any chance of re-signing him. Boris is going to make it impossible. And this is just the first step in looking at him in a new uniform come whatever the lockout ends after next season. So it's going to be awkward. It's setting up for a very awkward year between fans, Skubal. The players are going to be professional, but inside they're going to be, it's going to be different. No other team's going to have to deal with this all year except for us. So, but one more year of Skubal will be the last. I'm done speculating at this point.
So let's get into it. So, okay, I have a question. As far as arbitration is concerned, do you blindly come back with a number? Because, I mean, obviously you're not going to – the chances of you asking for Skubal asking exactly what the front office is offering isn't realistic, right? Is it a blind – we come back to the table with a number, or do they sit down and discuss this?
Well, they have time now. So the filing is just the ending of the open negotiation without any arbiter, seeing the numbers that have now been proposed. At this point, all the other players, I think we had 8 and 9 that did settle. They all settled with the number that was given or an agreement, whichever one. So now it's these two have a set time period, and the arbiter, if there's no deal made in between that, then essentially what happens is he's going to pick one of the two numbers, and there will be no in the middle. It'll be Detroit's 19 or Skubal's 32. So for the record, offered either $19.8 or $19.7 million is the record offered. This will shatter the accepted offer if it goes to Skubal's way, and it will kind of reshift the market for your, top elite 1% players at each position.
So is he okay? So last year, Skubal made $10 million. Is he just justified in asking for $22 million more in your opinion?
I mean, he's certainly worth 25. I mean,
Is he justified in asking for 32 though?
Yes, because
Really? 22 million more
yeah.
dollars.
Think about it. The number that floated out there last summer was 10 for 400, and that was 40.
Right.
So, and he's got back-to-back Cy Youngs. He has literally carried this rotation in his back pocket the last 2 years. He has dominated the American League. The only other pitcher that may have a minute edge in some scope of metrics is Paul Skeens, and that's it.
Okay.
He's been that good that long, and yeah, I mean, look, if you were him, if any of us were him, like, I want mine. I don't know what's going to happen the following year when I don't have a big extension in front of me and I'm looking at a lockout. So actually $13 million, if they don't play that year, they don't get paid.
Is that on us? The fact that he has a uncertainty about his situation, that's on us.
Well, it's certainly a tactic. I mean, you look at what's happened the last year or two in terms of how late, not just our own guys. You know, Bregman just signed last night. We'll get into that later. You know, you're seeing high-level names waiting later and later and later into practically spring training or early reporting before they're signing. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's going to be a new norm with this potential lockout next year. We'll have to wait and see. But that had been the case this year and at least last year of recent.
Yeah. So as it stands, they still do utilize that middle ground. And if they decide that Skubal is worth a penny over that 22.5, he's going to get 32, which is.
Well, it was the radio 97.1 on Friday. It was a funny Valenti and those whose afternoon show. And he goes, "Oh my God, I do not want to have to be that Tigers front office, lawyer or arbitrator, whatever you want to call it, that's got to go step in front of this arbitrator now and justify why he is not worth $32 million. It's
going to be weird.
Because your boy's going to be in the unemployment line after that, no matter what happens, because that's just feeding him to the wolves.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, yeah, it's a weird stance to have to take, but I mean,
at that point, you just damn near capitulate. You just give it to him.
I mean, maybe
you're only making it worse.
Maybe there is some justification, though, not necessarily personally to him, but he does pitch every 5 days, and he does give us a good chance of winning normally when he pitches. But I mean, we don't win all those games, so I mean, I guess without him, where will we be? No,
for sure.
So yeah. Oh, hold on, we got some comments here. Hi. Appreciate you. You said I liked. All right. So what's next on the agenda? Oh, the Cubs. The Cubs were busy this week, man. They had a hell of a week. They went out and got Edward Cabrera in a trade for 3 prospects. They gave up the number 1 prospect in Owen Casey. And my thought process was, nah, you got to find somebody to replace Tucker. I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but you just traded away your corner outfielder that was going to be the predecessor to Tucker in Owen Casey. And they follow it up on Saturday night in the wee hours of the morning with signing Alex Bregman. So that's a bat that we have. I think they said we were pretty cold on him this time. I think it was a lot more hot last summer or last winter. But yeah, they've got their third baseman of the future locked in for what was the contract?
So the Bregman deal, as of late hours, early morning hours, 5 years, $175 million, with 70 in deferrals, which actually helps lower the team's AAV to $35 million a year. Full no trade clause and no opt-outs. This leads me to believe that this is his last contract that he'll be signing. In regards to that, it is the 3rd largest contract in value in Cubs history. Comes off the heels after he opted out of his $40 million option with the Red Sox, which he finished in hindsight with a slash line of 273, 360, 462 with 18 home runs and 62 RBIs in 114 games, limited due to injuries, primarily due to his quadriceps.
And so how does that compare to what we offered? Didn't we offer like 5 for 160 or something like that?
Well, we gave him his years. If we're talking last year, we gave him his years that he wanted, but his AEV was lower. He wanted a little more financial security in the opt-out, which I don't think we gave him. Boston gave him that opt-out option, but it's kind of interesting. Look at Boston. They're actually not in a terrible spot. They're still very competitive, and they were able to spin the Devers contract off, and now they're not even on the hook for Bregman anymore. So, I mean, in a weird way, they kind of come out better from this. And frankly, looking at this from Detroit's standpoint now, this is a big win. This is a bigger win for us, not even coming close to him this year compared to last year. Because we probably would be in the lurch with where we go from here. Do we, all that experience that we had gotten at third base with defensive, mix and matches throughout the year, we wouldn't have had. So we kind of would have had a bigger unknown this year heading into third than last year by not signing Bregman.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like he just never wanted to be here. I think there were some opportunities for him to. If it was where if this was number one on his list, I think it could have been made to happen. But he just
last year would have been the only year to do it, because then it would have been more enticing for Skubal potentially. But alas, we never had that influence of a big signing last year.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, the Cubs. So do you feel like they jump? Do you feel like they jumped the Brewers with this move here? I mean, or with both moves.
I mean, Brewers were kind of, I don't want to say soft sellers. They didn't really do too much. They're interesting. They're
hey,
you might have to trade that jersey hanging up in the back for a Brewers one now.
Oh yeah, that'd be fine.
They're interesting. They're kind of like the Marlins of the National League Midwest. They draft well. They somehow cultivate their prospects, and when time comes to pay these guys for their first unrestricted contract or big extension, they're largely looking to move them. If you look at it, Christian Yelich has really been the only player they've given a big contract to in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So that's just kind of the way they operate. But I would think on paper the Cubs definitely put themselves in position to be a divisional contender, if not a short favorite heading into this year.
Yeah, and the fan base always cries about how they don't spend any money and they're cheap, but hey, they ponied up.
You guys can have Javi Baez back for that money. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, they made some pretty big moves and didn't really lose out on too much outside of that number one prospect who you just never know with them. But yeah, we'll see how things go. We'll get to our first break, and then on the other end, we'll see what we got going on. All right, the next segment that we are going to get on is talking about just projections for the upcoming year, and looking at players that could be due to ascend and improve their skills, and those that might be heading towards the regression side of things. And we'll start with the bad news. Who do you have as a player that could be due to regress this year?
Just because I think it's probably the obvious one right now, just because I think what we saw, the split throughout the year last year, and it was well documented on here and elsewhere, especially the last, 2.5 months down the stretch of the season before the playoffs. At least from a hitting standpoint, I think Riley Green is probably your largest opportunistic targeted regression player right now, just because of his swing rate and the amount of times he struck out last year. I mean, he literally was living in the best and worst of both worlds in that aspect, because normally it's not 100% correlated, but usually if you're striking out a lot and you're chasing a lot, you ain't hitting the ball too well because you're just not seeing it. But he had that small little pocket of whatever, 8% of where, all right, well, I'm going to miss everything else. If I do make contact, it's going to go boom. And that's pretty much what he did last year. So at the same breath of it, he could end up improving overall as a clutch hitter and hitting more consistently and striking out less. But
That'd be nice. Yeah.
given that his, I don't want to say arrogance, but we'll say bravado in some of his late season interviews, I don't see that happening. In fact, I probably see his power regressing, some of his run production drop a little bit. I don't think he'll hit as many home runs, but he would be right now in terms of a hitting angle, my top targeted regression player.
Okay. I thought that you would actually go with the one I chose, but my guy is the Javi Baez. I mean, he was an all-star last year, which nobody had on their bingo card. As you can see, the hitting approach has not improved much. I mean, it felt like it did, but he's still in the 1 percentile of chase rate. He's still striking out a ton, not taking any walks. I love the defense. He'll probably get more opportunities to play center field, especially if Parker doesn't get off to a hot start. But yeah, I think there's no way that he's an all-star again next year. So the power is pretty much gone. I think he'll have like a nice week where he'll hit a couple home runs. He definitely hit a couple walk-off. And one thing about him that's been consistent throughout the whole time is him being able to mash for runners in scoring position. So hopefully that will hold steady. But when you look at the on base and the slug, it's still pretty bad. So as he gets older, he's 33 years old and entering what is this his final? Or next year, I think is his final year on the contract.
Yeah, he still has another year. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's time to, really start looking into. I mean, I think McGonagall is gonna be the predecessor eventually, but I don't necessarily want to see Javi playing every day if we don't have to. So if that means getting rid of Sweeney, making some room for him, because I don't want to see Sweeney either on those opposite days. So, let's figure it out. Unless he comes back, I think they said that he's making some adjustments to his swing, which is obviously essential right now, because he's not bringing anything to us. But interesting enough, his bat speed is still, very much above average, which shows you that the physical and the athleticism is still there. But yeah, can't bank on another all-star year from Javi. Although he was one of the few hitters that hit during the playoffs, which was nice. But what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say to tie it into what we could potentially see, because I know it's been ongoing, and it's something later on as we get closer towards opening day and whatnot. I'm sure it'll be a focus for both of us, and I'm sure a lot of our own friends and other Tiger fans out there. It could all be, again, with Parker Meadows. If he gets off to a slow start along with Javi, all right, well, you can't have both these guys not hitting and still be on the roster. So at that point, I could see Parker going down, Javi going to center to platoon, and then McConaughey makes his essentially debut through that avenue as well. But not to get too far into that, but let's just say, they get towards the trade deadline, right? Not going too well, but they're still maybe in the middle of it. But Javi is just continuing to regress. Are you moving him at the trade deadline, regardless of where you're at that?
If there's any value that we can get out of him, sure, yeah, if he's bottoming out, yeah, it's to get him to get that contract off. Eat some money if you absolutely need to, because he's in that ballpark of Arenado right now. Of course, he's making more. Actually, I don't know who's making more money, but at this point, they can't give him away. So
true.
So yeah, or swap them. I don't know. Why would the Cardinals want him?
Yeah, they're kind of already in a rebuild as it is. I think they're in year 2 of their rebuild. Yeah, Javi's making 24.
I think Arenado's making about that.
Yeah, it's got to be in the same range, 2025. Base salary. 32. Never mind.
Oh, damn. Well, just, eat the difference. But yeah, Yeah, he wouldn't be able to play shortstop because they got a damn good shortstop, Mason Wynn. But if they need somebody to play some center field, he's your guy. Look at that. It's the 91st percentile, 6 outs above average. That is crazy. I mean, that makes him what? The best. That's got to make him one of the best. I mean, granted, it's split between center field. I think it's split about 50-50 between center field and shortstop.
I'll say that too. He ain't winning no Gold Glove. He ends up playing the bulk of his defensive innings in center field next year. I mean, he makes good plays. Don't get me wrong, but the range compared to Parker and a more traditional outfielder, it will fall short in sizable comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just not it doesn't look 100% comfortable for him. Yeah, I mean, you look at his sprint speed, he's only 50. So, yeah.
If it was any other ballpark, it would actually be a better fit. But the problem is we've historically, since it's opened, despite our 3 bring-ins of the walls over the last 10 years, we're still among like the top 15 largest spacious outfield for outfield defenders to have to track and manage out there.
Is Harrison Bader still out there?
I believe so. Yeah, I thought he signed with someone. Harrison.
I think the speculation is he'll go back to Philly, but I want to say he's still out there.
Yeah, he declined his
player
mutual option, so it made him a free agent.
I think he's still out there.
But I think he's still out there. Wait.
So did you have?
I did see there was a slew of the after the arbitration signing settlements the other day. I did see a slew of minor league waiver wire claims, including the release of the Orioles let go of Big Christmas that they got from Cleveland.
Yeah,
and there was one other player of note. All right, so it looks like just as of yesterday, Harrison Bader's been linked to potentially a 1-year reunion deal with the Mets, potentially.
Oh, okay.
He had he had arguably the strongest offensive campaign last year between the Phillies and Twins, posted a 277, 347, and 449 slash line, 796 OPS, and a 3.9 WAR, and a career high 17 home runs.
3.9?
3.9 WAR. In only 146 games. But I feel like a lot of that, to your point, is tied defensively too. I mean, that's an okay slash line. That's actually not bad at all. I'd say, 80th on average. It's still a little bit above average, but OPS 824 down the stretch in 24 games heading to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially just a slap hitter. A lot of
17 home runs ain't bad either.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
You look at the hard hit rate. You look at the chase, the whiff. He's not the expected on base. It's like, but yeah, he definitely had some pop in his bat last year. So, and then you love the defensive metrics, just a tad better than Javi out there. But it'd be fun to see him roam Comerica, but I think you might as well try to see what you can get out of. Because
if you sign someone like that new, right, you'd almost have to cut someone or right on the 40-man. I don't think they have any open spots at this point.
Nah, they had to.
If not, then I think they're keeping one permanently open.
I think that the Malloy move was that was correlating with the Finnegan or Jansen.
Yeah. The formality of Jansen signing then created that +1 on the roster that they had to. But I think that was a formality because they had already placed him on waivers. So they go through that process and they get X amount of days to work out a trade before he just becomes a minor league free agent. But yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see. I think he wants to play for a contender too. And while divisionally we are, in terms of the greater scope of the American League, you look.
I don't think they look at us and say this is not a contender.
Oh no, and I don't mean. I should say clarify. World Series legitimate, like top 2-3 AL. Like we have a better than 20% chance of winning kind of deal. I'm generalizing some of these numbers. Because we haven't gotten to the ALCS yet in 2 years. I think
I
it'd be
mean,
a little
neither have
different
they.
if we had gotten 1 years.
Did the Yankees fall into that?
Didn't they just weren't they in the World Series 2 years ago against the Dodgers and
Yeah,
lost?
years ago.
Yeah.
We're right on the
Yeah.
right on the cusp though. Like
We gotta get to the ALCS. I mean, we have yet to get over the hump, and
the Phillies didn't even get to the NLCS.
no, not last year, no, but they didn't they win it like 3 years ago? Like it's either been Boston, LA, Philly.
Yeah. We're in the we were literally a arm or a bat away.
Yeah, we're behind. Peek behind the curtains a little bit. You can see our feet and our legs sticking underneath the curtain there. Just peek behind the curtain a little bit. We're there. Trying to poke out.
Do you have a pitcher that you could be up for a regression in your opinion?
Pitcher regression? Ooh, that's a good question. It's we'll just start. I'm assuming we'll just go rotation guys to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's tough too, considering the injuries they've had. I don't really want to say Scooble because that would potentially spell the doom of the season if he were to regress, truly regress. I'm gonna say Jack Flaherty. He is logged a lot.
Can he
of
regress
innings.
more?
Well, he got. That's the thing. His health is one thing, but from a repertoire standpoint, he's pretty much a 3-pitch pitcher, and he relies on 2 of them heavily. Which, after what we saw with Tommy Kahnle over the last year and a half and change, and to my, I'll bring it up. You said the comment of Finnegan's was it Finnegan? His velocity up to like 99 or 98.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I mean, I doubt we'll see that, but
he falls in that category. 2-pitch pitcher, changeup, fastball, like. That's great, and they got the I know that was the one thing they worked on with the trade with Fetter. They wanted to recalibrate his percentage of pitch mixes to become a little more unpredictable, and it worked beautifully. But now that blueprint is probably going to stay in place for next year because he only has 2 pitches, what are you going to do differently that's going to be enough of a variance to still keep these hitters off? And I think that's the biggest question for Flaherty going into next year because all the other guys around him, all the other pitchers have been hurt for chunks in the last 2 years. And we won't see Joe probably realistically at all this year. So you take him out of the equation. Flaherty and School will become the only 2 pitchers that in the last 2 years, minus us trading him, have been the staples in a rotation. And probably Casey Mize to a degree, but he is a much better pitcher heading into this year than he was heading into this point last year.
Yeah, my prediction for a possible regression is definitely Casey Mize. He had a very strong first half of the year, but a much slower second half. He actually, all in all, he ended up with 14 wins. I think Scooble only had 12.
Yeah, he won the team dub train.
But I was going through the run support category to see who's been, the benefit of the most run support. And Casey Mize is actually top 5. Matter of fact, let's pull it up here. I got it.
Oh, like in all of Major League?
Yep.
That's crazy. I figured he had the team lead for sure last year. Otherwise, Scooble would have won like 19, 20 games for sure. And it would have been a runaway unanimous MVP at the trade deadline. But that's crazy.
Yep. So in 30 games pitched last year, he got an average of 5.73 runs per game, which is why, he had an ERA of 3.87. So it's not like he was just up there just throwing beach balls. But he was definitely the benefit of about 6 runs per game, which will pad your win record a little bit. But of course, some other obvious names on here: Clayton Kershaw plays for the Dodgers, Max Fried plays for the Yankees. Obviously those teams put some runs on the board. So you look at the peripherals as far as the Savant page, and you see, he definitely keeps the ball in the strike zone. He's got a good, extension, which helps his fastball velocity, but still a lot of hard contact, a lot of barrels, and a lot of balls in the air, which is not always good. But He started. I don't know how many start. Oh no, 30 starts last year, and so he was healthy the entire year, right?
Yeah, I
129.
think the only reason why he probably had less starts than some of the other guys on that list was due to that chaos day and pushing and extending guys out. I'm sure he lost a start or two along the way in that mix of constant reshuffling in that rotation.
Yeah. So 28 games started, and I think 28 games started. It said 30 on that other graphics. I don't know what that's about. Maybe because those are bullpen days or whatever. But in the playoffs, probably in the playoff appearances. But
Oh yeah.
a nice comeback from last year. Obviously, he was hurt a ton last year. He went on a 60-day, I think, last year. It was only 2-6. They had the arbitration situation. So, So next year he'll be up for a legitimate contract. So.
Yeah, because last year heading into this point, it was between him and Alex Baedo. Remember, we were talking one of these two guys is probably going to have to go, despite them having still team additionally a year beyond heading into this year team control, which Baedo did, and we ended up moving him to Tampa, kind of back where he's from, and a Florida graduate and NCAA champion. But yeah, that's been big. Frankly, he needed it. I don't want to even begin to think about what last year would be if Mize had not taken that step forward. We'd probably be looking at a rotation of no legitimate guys other than Scooble, who at this point is looks like to be on his way out, with no one really behind him to help stabilize 2, 3 until you get to a healthy Jackson Joe. But
Yeah, so depending on what happens with Scooble, if we end up moving him, Myers is essentially your ace. So kind of spooky to think about. We're gonna get to the last break, and then we're gonna talk about ascensions. All right. So who do you have as a player that could be ascending and improving on what they built last year?
Let's say from a hitting standpoint, I'm gonna, I have to, because as much as I'm losing my faith in the front office of this organization, I am putting all of the rest of it into the players. And damn it, I was big on Dingler last year. Kind of, I guess, like between you and me, like maybe not too much of a dark horse that he ended up having as great of a year as he did. It's not like he hit 350 with 40 bombs, nothing like that. But
right.
I got to imagine that if I'm going to put that good juju out there, that good karma, if you will, man, our boy Parker Meadows is going to jump onto this season this year, and he's going to solidify himself in that center field spot, and it's going to put that crap to bed, and it's going to leave a decision of, all right, well, now what do we do between Anderson, Clark, McGonigal, and Baez? That will probably be the larger picture going forward beyond the current season of just the 26 and 40 man, but how the rest of these prospects that Harris has been beating the drum about, semi-pause, to death on. So we'll see. Parker Meadows, my pick for progression for 2026.
Yeah, I mean, we need that. We need that table setter. We need speed. We were last in stolen bases. We know what he's going to bring defensively, and it's been a rough go for him. He's had some stints on the injured list every year. He was on the 60-day last year, along with damn near everybody else in our outfield. But he's the guy that I feel like they believe in him. They're giving him every opportunity to make things right. And this is the year. This is it right here. Like he came up 2 years ago in September.
Yeah.
And then 3 years ago. I think it's 3 years ago he came up. Hold on, let's pull him up here.
3 would have been his debut, like in the middle of the year, but 2, he would have had 2 full years up with the parent club, but injuries and all that.
So he debuted in 2023, and then
That makes sense,
2024 is the year we went to the playoffs, and then last year he was on a 60 day and closed out the year. But
And I say that with the respect to the other guys in the core that have done well the last year or two. You look at Carey, look at Torque last year, look at Colt Keith has had 2 really slow Aprils, but he has consistently progressed all the rest of the way through the end of the season. I think with the growth within that core that he's seeing directly to the locker room, to his left and to his right with those guys, it breeds a little bit of more confidence that, what, I can get this shit done. I can do it. If they're doing it and getting it done, I see it. The proof's in the pudding. Damn it, why not me? If that's the way I feel like he's going to be coming in the season, not necessarily arrogant, like, yeah, I'm him, but like, okay, I just got to go do it now. I know I can do it. Just got to go do it.
Yeah, I think the biggest key for him is going to be staying healthy. Obviously, last year he missed a big chunk of the beginning of the season with that. Didn't he have loose feeling in his throwing arm, or that was him, right? The nerve
It was
damage,
like
yeah.
his nerve issue in his throwing shoulder. Yeah.
But yeah,
it was definitely a slow. Him and Matt Vierling had very slow rehabilitating processes, almost simultaneously. Yeah, he had a nerve injury in his throwing shoulder. So who's to know really how much that impacted him from an offensive standpoint too? Because boy, he was good for 2-3 weeks when he came back in July, August, and after that, pretty much fizzled out entirely.
Yeah, I mean, because when you look at it, on base percentage is .291. You just can't have that, especially from the one guy that could possibly, get on the bases and wreak some havoc. But you look at the fact that he does walk a decent amount. He doesn't expand the zone, so he's got the basis of what you want from a leadoff hitter. You just need him to, to not strike out as much as he does, honestly, because if he puts it on the ground, if he gets it in play, he's going to be able to, leg out some singles. So,
Real quick, speaking of table setters, do you think they're going to impose any type of bunting strategy going forward? Because we saw none of it until the last 6 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the major leagues has just done away with that, but it would be nice, if nothing else, try to incorporate more of that. I think we saw a little bit of it. I think we saw Parker use it a little bit last year, but yeah, I mean that would be great. You did mention in passing the guy that I put on the progression list, and that is Cole Keith, and we saw some improvements from him last year. And yeah, you take away the slow start to the year. He had another solid year last year. Obviously, he's bouncing around, and we'll see if he gets an everyday position to play. Actually, he was the starting first baseman on opening day. I want to say Torque was the DH out the gate, but he quickly took his first base reins back. And then, Keith was, bouncing around DH and third base and all that. But we saw improvements from his, on base. He took way more walks than he did last year. And then, improvements to his slug and OPS. He had 13 home runs last year, which matches what he had his rookie year. But he also had about 100 less at bats because he missed the last month of the year. He was hurt going into the playoffs.
He had that weird injury that just kind of lingered.
And then he had a horrible postseason.
We got him back after the Guardian series, right? So we got him just for the last series. We left him off the wild card round, I believe.
I think he was on it, or he came back for the Seattle series, if nothing else.
Yeah. He was definitely hurt down the stretch there too. Because I think him and him and Glaber were the two guys that were nicked up heading into that critical time in the playoffs.
Yeah. So you look at the progression from last year. Walk rate was 26, went all the way up to 73, which you like to see.
It's very good.
And you look at that launch angle. Yeah. So
You
yeah,
know what? I'll say it right now. I'm not worried about this kid as a hitter, and I think he might be a future projection to slide into that DH spot, um, and let him kind of take over that as a platoon role. And if you want to get really crazy, if Scooble was walking, to hell with the compensatory pick because they ain't going to hold a light to the candle that is Scooble.
right.
I think he could be a trade piece here in like 2 years. With everyone else you got coming behind him that are younger, that are more affordable, he's a very term friendly deal right now with 3 more years left. I think at $6 million a year. I mean, this is a potentially juicy trade option to potentially get some arms back, or another dynamic corner infielder, corner outfield piece. For the years to come ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine teams like his defensive versatility. He can play first, he can play second, he can play third, and yeah, he's a on base guy. So yeah, when it's time for Briseño to come up, I mean, we're gonna need that DH slot open because I don't see him playing very much catcher, and we'll see how long Torque holds on to that first base spot, but. Yeah, I think eventually down the line, yeah, he would be a nice trade chip, especially if he continues to progress. So yeah, Cole Keith. I got Cole Keith as my prediction of a guy to progress. But the last bit of news we got was that we've made some calls and checked in on what's his name, Luis Giolito, or what's Giolito?
Lucas Giolito and
Bassett.
Chris Bassett, yeah.
So let's pull these guys up. Now, what are the terms that we would have interest? Oh, we got Troy in the building. What are the what are the terms that would make it to where we would be able to afford them, I guess?
Well, the speculation that I saw the other day that I shared with you is that the Tigers are actually they're generally talking to these two and have them on their short list. They're intrigued, but it comes from a financial standpoint. They're waiting to see what happens with this Scooble arbitration situation, because if they have to shell out an extra $13 million for him, I really think that eliminates one, if not potentially both options from even going further at that point. So if they don't and they side with Detroit, I would think you base that off of 13, 15 million at most. 1 year deals, anywhere between 6 and 10 million each, maybe on average. Maybe I'm a little. I would say Bassett would be much lower because Giolito, remember, came from the White Sox originally. Strikeout guy. He was an all-star, so he's going to carry a little bit more naturally, just given his track record and his experience. But God, if we give another guy like 15, 20 million, like a Cobb or Maeda, but here we are. We're talking about two guys that are over well past their heydays, if you will, and they're just looking to stay in the league. And Scott Harris is open for business at the Kmart Blue Light Special Checkout line.
So Troy says, Scooble, Mize, Flaherty, we are looking to have another top rotation here. No, I agree. Melton, you throw in Melton, and yeah, you throw in Melton, and then you push some of those guys to the middle relief like Montero, who can give you some starts and be decent, solid. Because Kiter's just always around. He's just always hanging around. But yeah. What was I about to say? Oh, so yeah, Lucas Giolito, he's definitely past his prime years. He had a good year last year, though. Wins and loss, aside, 10-4 record, 3.41 ERA. The peripherals don't look great. But you know what? That's the reason why I was looking up run support, because I'm like, you look at these, you look at the peripherals. It's like, how did this guy manage to go 10-4 last year? But he wasn't really the benefit of massive run support, ironically. But yeah, he didn't pitch at all in 2024, so I'm assuming he had TJ. But This is his 2021. That was his like best year, as far as the savant, is concerned. And then he started to regress from there. But yeah, he definitely was a swing and miss strikeout type guy. Not so much now. So I don't know. The more I thought about it, the more I like Bassett. But as you can see, former Harvard Westlake High School, that is where Jack Flaherty went to school. So there's some connection there. And Troy, we talked about it earlier. Joe probably won't be back until what, September, they think?
That was the terminology they used. He's projected to go back to competitive throwing in September. So I feel like that's not game competitive. That's clearance to begin a normal like rehab program on the shoulder to start getting it prepped for game like action.
Yeah, and when you see how they're looking for arms for many reasons. One, because they're not banking on him coming back, but also two, you got Reese Olson out there. He's bound to hit the IL at least once. So, yeah. But yeah, Bassett. I actually might go with Bassett. That's the person I would prefer. He's been a workhorse. This guy, I think the last 5 years has had double-digit wins every year. Let me pull him up here.
He's bounced around too the last 2 years, right? I think he's been kind of like a one-year rental player for the most part.
So he's been on the Blue Jays for the last 3 years, and then he went to he was on the Mets for 2022 and the Athletics in 2021, and that's where his career started. So you look at his just the win-loss record, 11 wins, 10 wins, 16, 15, 12. I mean, very consistent numbers, under 4 ERA in all those years. And yeah, that's let's see.
God, he had a great playoff run here. I'm looking at his numbers right now. 8-2. This is against two games against the Mariners, and then 5 outings against the Dodgers. 8 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 10 Ks, even split ground ball to fly ball, 10-8. 122 pitches, never went over 26. 1.04 ERA with 2 holds, no wins, no losses, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, and he's not a guy you hear about, but I mean, the numbers really don't lie. As far as the peripherals, low walk rate, ton of weak contact, keeps it on the ground. Average exit velocity, yeah, just a ton of weak contact. He's not going to strike guys out. They're definitely going to put the ball in play. But if you surround him with some good defensive players, which is what he had in Toronto, and then you look at his pitch mix. Oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pitches that he uses. Obviously, only like 5 that he uses. Only 3 that he uses primarily, but he's got quite the repertoire of pitchers. I mean, pitches everything in the
he's definitely a 4-pitch. That was at you got FC cutter, 4-seam fastball. Is it a slider? The first pitch.
Yeah, slider. What was that? 4-seam.
Was that 4-seam changeup? Yeah.
It's FC 4-seam. No.
Fork.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, the Blues obviously curveball, not a cutter.
Yeah.
4-seam fastball, 9%.
No, 4-seam is FS. Fork? No,
4-seam fastball.
Yeah, but that's FS though. What the heck is FC?
No, 4-seam fastball is 2 Fs. 4-seam is hyphenated.
Okay, so what's FC?
There's got to be a legend down there.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, 4C is fastball. What the hell? Then what is?
Yeah. Split finger.
All brought to you while we're
We-
live. Hey, yo. It's all the same. What?
I don't know.
It's telling me FC, FF, or all. I don't know. There's got to be a legend on some on that tells you what it is. But
Sinker. Split finger.
four seamer. FS is four seamer. There you go.
You're all right.
Slider,
You know that.
sweeper. Oh, SI is sinker. Okay, the orange. All right. My guess is that it's one or two of those he doesn't throw anymore. Go back to 2024. I just want to see what his usage split was the year before. You're good. Ooh, so his FF dropped off entirely. Okay, so he does mix around with some of these then. Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes they'll leave like dormant pitches up from the year or two beforehand just to show the historical collection of his pitches. But yeah, he's a looks like the kitchen sink kind of collection.
For sure. And it looks like he had a pretty good improvement from last year, even though he still won. Oh, he won 10 and lost 14. So, yeah, he's 36 years old, which is right up Harris's alley. I think I don't want to bring up Cobb, but different story between the two of them. I mean, he pitched 171 innings in 2024 and had 170 this past year and 200 in 2023. So he's got a rubber arm. Which is what we could use. So we'll see. So yeah, so between the two, Bassett is the more preferable guy.
Yeah, based on, if we're not necessarily going to rely on him for, regular season it's just a postseason kind of guy mostly, help us get there, bridge some gaps here and there, help with any attrition issues that we may endure. A guy like him coming off a postseason like that, there's no way he's taking a minor league contract. It's going to be a pro level deal. So, because some of these guys might be looking like, okay, I might have a year or two left. I'll take a minor league deal. So that way, when I get called up, I'll get my prorated amount for the rest of the year. But, yeah, well, it'd be nice to have a little bit of an additional insurance policy in case anything else happens. And essentially, we're operating without Job essentially this year. So I think at that point, you keep that extra roster spot in the 40-man open for that reason, knowing that you're already going in a little bit nicked up, at least full health from your pitching staff.
Yeah, and there's still Zach Gallen out there. It's got to go somewhere. But and we haven't been linked to him or anything, but another option of a guy that on a short-term deal, innings eater that we could buy low on because he's coming off a pretty rough year. I think he had a better second half though, but we need another. I think we still need another high-end guy as a predecessor for Skubal until Melton is ready to kind of take those reins over. So.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there's some other pieces around Gallen right now. I'm seeing about 5 days ago, so not too far after New Year, rumored to potentially be in early talks with the Cardinals. That doesn't seem too much sense considering their rebuild,
right?
Because it basically you'd be going there to retire essentially. Or it looks like the Braves are potentially interested in him, but that was a few days ago. But they've made some signings too. They all might be in the same camp together. They're waiting to try and get that number down a little bit, which from a strategic standpoint or tactic standpoint, we've seen a lot in the last year or two. So guys late, Jordan Montgomery being one, and then he fired Scott Boras after he signed a short deal with Arizona heading into 2024. It's happened. So I think some of these GMs are playing the wait and see to save themselves an extra 10% on another JetBlue holiday.
Yeah. I mean, I think the longer it goes, the more of an advantage goes to the owners, I think. So just the time's a ticking, man. Pitchers need to know where they're going to report. So, but yeah, that is our talk about starting pitchers that we probably won't get. But I guess we'll just see how the Skubal situation plays out because we might be on the hook for $32 million. So that'll definitely eat up some of everybody else's money. Troy says, you guys think we could make a run with this roster? I like our bullpen a lot. Yeah, I think that it's going to be a two-man race between us and the Royals.
We are the favorite. Odds came out earlier this week. We are the odds-on favorite this year to win the Central at like plus 120. So, whereas last year we were the short second favorite behind Cleveland.
Wasn't the Twins?
No, I don't. Well, it may have been, which was weird, but we knew heading into last year it was going to be between us and Cleveland. Minnesota had already started pushing some of the other guys out at that point.
Yeah, and my perspective on it is this: when you look at our opening day roster last year, we had Manuel Margot and Ryan Kryler on that lineup, and we started out hot out the gate. After we got swept by the Dodgers, we started out pretty damn hot. Slow start.
Kryler didn't make it through May.
Yeah. And Margot, I think, had one good series and then pulled a hammy, and then he was in AAA for the rest of the year. So, knock on wood, I highly doubt Winslow Perez, Parker Meadows, and Matt Vierling all start on the IL like they did last year. So, in that regards, we're better off. So, MSU Detroit fan says cheap. Yeah. He says, hear that? That's the sound of Little Caesars Pizza, but unfortunately the bad side. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that it's it's up to $7.99 or $8.99 around here now. No longer $5.55.
Right. Yeah. And Little Caesars got a lot of my money this week. I went to 2 Pistons games, so they should be a little better off, I would like to think.
Got that divorce payments coming.
But yeah, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up? We're almost just about at the hour mark.
Yeah, there's not too much, I think, in terms of, I think you did a good job noting some of the players that are still out there that it probably will be a formality unless weirdly one of these guys decides to just randomly up and retire. They'll eventually find a home somewhere. However, that carousel ride will continue for them and their agent at this time. I would say pretty much most of the dust has settled, and the players, at least in the American League, this offseason compared to how the playoffs ended, the bigger players made moves, and everyone else underneath kind of really didn't do too much of any major newsworthy moves or reshuffles. It seems like our division is quietly going through a larger rebuild. Cleveland's kind of done it over the last few years. Minnesota has been a little more aggressive lately, and the White Sox, obviously going back to 2 or 3 years ago, I think they pretty much have finished their rebuild entirely, not from we are improving from a record standpoint, from a player personnel. They pretty much fully transitioned over. Your Chris Sales, your Lucas Giolito's, your
except for Luis Robert.
They need someone to market. There ain't another team, the only players left on that roster that people know of to market.
The young guys. I mean, the young guys. They're
youth. Who's it that they didn't have a middle infielder that killed us last year? Like one of the 2 decent players they had. One of the prospects was just killing us last year. I'm like, I don't want to see this kid again. It might be a problem, but I think this division again sets up for Detroit to. I mean, look, we said it last year. If they don't win this division, it's a failure, 100% across the board. I don't care what else happens. You need to win this division, period. And, we'll see what happens from the trade deadline and everything this year, way ahead of it. But as of right now, this team is in the playoffs heading into September based on the division alone and really not taking much more outside of, Toronto, some of the other playoff teams that we had last year. So could they make a run? Sure. It just depends on 162 games.
Yeah. It just depends on everything. But yeah. That'll pretty much wrap it up. We'll definitely keep everybody in tune in the event something happens. We spend some money. Scooble, settles on whatever the amount of money he's going to get. And before you know it, we'll be covering spring training baseball. So it'll be full speed ahead at that point. But definitely subscribe to the channel. We're simulcasting on Bleachers and Speakers and Corner to Copa. We're trying to build up that Corner to Copa page. I'm putting shorts every couple days over on Corner to Copa on any updates that go on throughout the week. So you definitely want to tune in there. And we appreciate all the familiar faces that pop back in. Let me see, Detroit fan, Troy, and a couple of new people as well. So, yeah, stay tuned, and we will be back soon. We just cracked that hour mark, so we're going to get on up out of here.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop letting